and welcome to this evening's panel discussion on sound, mysterious sound, impossible sound, creating the impossible, mysterious sound, and the effects on love and friendship of rehearsing the creation of the impossible and mysterious sound. I am Ludwig Van Beethoven, composer, and on my left is Quasimodo, Hunchback, and former bell ringer for Notre Dame de Paris. I would like to begin by saying that I am an old man in the last days of my life. My health is failing, my memory is broken, and I am completely deaf. My friend Quasimodo is deaf as well. Nevertheless, we've asked ourselves to head this panel discussion on sound, mysterious sound, impossible sound, etc., because of our recent collaboration towards the creation of that very thing, an impossible, mysterious sound. That is not the sound. The details of our collaboration will come to in a moment. First, however, Quasimodo has a statement he'd like to read. Quasimodo?
Thank you. There are two types of failure when it comes to artistic endeavor. The first type of failure is greeted with noise, clamor, a hooting and booing and hissing and raspberrying. The sonic demons of derision that dwell in the lower inaudible frequencies of our culture's perpetual murmur of scorn rise through the public's throats and cannon forth, howling and breaking the air with their thunderous dismissal of the artist's small effort. The second type of failure is greeted with silence. Embarrassed and aghast, the universe looks down at the artist's creation, and all that is heard is the sound of our wicked planet turning in space.
So, in other words, what you're saying, in this second sort of failure, no sound is heard.
That is correct. No sound.
So, how would you classify our failure? For we did in fact fail in our collaboration. There in your small hut at the edge of the marshes.
Failed.
There in the twilight, in the brackish scent, beneath the faint stars. Around the bell table. What type of failure was ours? The sort met with sound or silence?
Our failure was met with silence.
Well, that's about all we have time for this evening. Thank you all very much for coming out, and good night. Good evening, and welcome to this evening's panel discussion on sound, mysterious sound, impossible sound, evoking the impossible, mysterious sound, and the effects on love and friendship of rehearsing the evocation of the impossible and mysterious sound. That is not not the sound. I am Ludwig Van Beethoven, and on my left is Quasimodo, a former bell ringer for something. I can't remember. As we are both deaf, there will be no questions taken from the audience tonight. Thank you. Now, before we move on to the details of our collaboration, the Marches of Twilight, the bell table, and so forth, Quasimodo would like to read a statement. Quasimodo?
Thank you. In our effort to create Anton Chekhov's impossible, mysterious sound, I believe everything would have gone a lot better if we had not rehearsed at my house. My house is small and muddy. It stinks of marsh water. Beethoven has a very nice, large apartment, and he should have let us rehearse there.
If I might comment on what you just said, before I forget what you just said, I would ask if it's your position that we would have avoided our failure in creating this particular sound if we had rehearsed at my place?
No, failure could not have been avoided, but it would have been more pleasant to fail in one of your sunny and well-ventilated rooms with the floors of polished pine.
But comfort aside, it's your belief our collaboration would not have succeeded no matter what the circumstances, yes?
Our collaboration was doomed. The world's externals had no bearing.
Yes. But now it seems to me that time has passed us by. There's certainly more to be said, but it never will be. Thank you, and good night. Welcome, everybody, to our panel discussion on summoning that which perhaps does not exist. The sound Quasimodo and I attempted to bring into being is the sound described in a stage direction at the end of Act 2 of Anton Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard. This time I can't remember the scene or stage direction very well, so we'll have Quasimodo explain it all.
In this scene, Radomskaya is sitting out of doors with her family and the other characters on the outskirts of her estate. They have sat and talked of death and planets and Russia and giants, but now the conversation is paused and they sit in silence. It is here at this pause that the stage direction appears. It reads, "Suddenly a distant sound is heard, coming as if out of the sky, like the sound of a string snapping, slowly and sadly dying away."
Coming as if out of the sky, like the sound of a string snapping, slowly and sadly dying away. That is not the sound. But exactly what this sound is not at all clear. The characters themselves discuss it. The sound, if nothing else, spurs them from their melancholy silence, but none agree on what it might be. An owl? A heron? A lift cable breaking in a distant mine? But if it's a string, What sort of string? And how could a string sound to anyone like an owl? That is not the sound. It could be anything. Chekhov himself will be no help. In the play's first production, which will be mounted long after Quasimodo's and my death, a production directed by Stanislavski himself, a dying Chekhov will complain petulantly that the sound Stanislavski comes up with is totally inadequate. It's such a simple instruction, he will say. What could be more clear? A distant sound coming as if out of the sky, like the sound of a string snapping, slowly and sadly dying away. That is not the sound. And now we have to say goodbye. Thank you for coming. As you leave, we ask you to not let what you've seen and heard here tonight seep too quickly from your minds. For our best lives are lived, like yours, in the memories of others. Welcome to this evening's panel discussion on expressing the inexpressible sound. Tonight we'll be hearing from myself, Ludwig Van Beethoven, and my collaborator, Quasimodo. But first, an opening statement.
Good evening. What is it I want? Above all, I seek a total lack of faith, a pure disbelief, a state of knowing fully that there is nothing above or below the sky, that all is ruin, and beyond ruin, grief and a vacuum. Good evening. I curse you.
But isn't it precisely faith, a great deal of faith, that is needed when tackling the problem of expressing the inexpressible, the unevocable sound?
Yes, and I want release from this impossible problem. I want release altogether from the urge to create. I want to be left to sit in my hut at my table, surrounded by the sounds of frogs and crows, left alone to memorize my many sorrows.
Are there any questions at this point? Then let's take a little break. Good evening, and welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We welcome you. We are so happy you could all make it out tonight to hear us discuss our project on the impossible sound. That is not the sound. Do you have a statement you'd like to read?
We know not, and no search will make us know. Only the event will teach us in its hour.
That is not the sound. To recap, always in twilight, I would leave my apartments and cross the marshes to my friend Quasimodo's small hut. Always in twilight to rehearse, to work on our project, the project concerning Chekhov's stage direction, A Distant Sound, coming as if out of the sky. Crossing the marshes in twilight with the stars emerging from their distant invisible nowhere, my pessimism would leave me, and my mind would quiver with inspiration.
On every twilight in which he crossed the marshes to my hut, I could hear Ludwig Van Beethoven's footsteps from a great distance, plopping and slurping in the muck. Nearer and nearer, so determined, so sure. Slog, slog, slog. So certain that our collaboration could be nothing but a success. It was, to me, a dread sound. The sound of a fool bringing defeat into my sad life once again. We would never satisfy this stage direction from Chekhov's cherry orchard.
I would walk through his door eager with a blossoming will.
He would come through my rough door, his silk slippers soaked in the bog's infections and his creamy stockings streaked black by soggy reeds. The sound of his spongy tread on my planks, his drippings on my rug. The great man.
We would sit at his bell table, a table made actually out of a bell stolen by Quasimodo from the towers of Notre Dame when he departed that tragic cathedral for good in 1482. It was not a very good table. Because nowhere was it flat. It's just an enormous bell sitting on his floor with chairs around it. If you put your drink or your sandwich on it, they would slide onto the rug.
We would sit at the bell table, the starry night gone black, the crow asleep, its dreamless brain dark as its wing, to rehearse, to bring into being one sound.
And from there is remembered nothing more. We now fade from you as you from us. Marsh, bell table, crow, and door. Good evening. Have all of you arrived? Can everyone see us? Everyone hear me? Is this on? Is find the building all right? Did you find the room? Did you find your seat? Are you seated comfortably? Were you given a program? Is your program legible? Is your program informative? Is it attractively laid out? Are you warm enough? Are you nearly silent? Are you attentive? Are you thinking grand thoughts? Oh, please, count thy gains. Would thou be born for this?
At the bell table, the starry night got black. The crow above, the frog below. We would rehearse. From every corner of my hut, I would bring all manner of objects and instruments to strum, to strike, to blow, to pluck, all in the service of Dr. Anton Chekhov and his diabolical instructions. In these hundreds of rehearsals, Ludwig Van Beethoven offered only a single sound as the possible solution to Anton Chekhov's vague stage direction. The sound of the pages of Emily Dickinson's collected poems being fanned with his thumb. At the time of our rehearsals, in the year 1825, Emily Dickinson had not yet written any poetry. Emily Dickinson had not been born. Is this not the most perverse sentimentality? To delicately flutter the poems of a not-born lonely recluse? And further, to amplify the fluttering. Good night. Good night. I curse you.
Hello. Welcome to our panel discussion on the pleasures associated with the making of an impossible thing. I am Ludwig Van Beethoven. Our project was concerned with the infamous stage direction in Anton Chekhov's last play, The Cherry Orchard, which he wrote, by the way, when he was dying of consumption, coughing his lungs up over the pages. The stage direction which reads, "Suddenly a distant sound is heard, coming as if out of the sky, like the sound of a string snapping, slowly and sadly dying away." The true sadness of this sound, of course, is that it has not yet been born. That is not the sound. Quasimodo has some questions to get us started.
Thank you. My questions are simple questions. Where is the place for the uncreated in this modern world? Where do we put the happiness that has not been forged? Where do we store the love that has not been sculpted? Where is the room for keeping all the nothings?
The room for keeping all the nothings. I would like to think that such a room exists.
I don't believe in this room.
Well, maybe you're right. After all, who would go through the trouble of building it?
Let us never speak of it again. It is a waste of time.
No. It's a deep mystery to be investigated only with silence. Thank you for coming. Good evening, and welcome to our panel discussion on what currently is not, and perhaps never will be, but is worth talking about nonetheless, as it, the non-existent, can never speak for itself. And because the non-existent suffers necessarily in silence, it is therefore a compassionate impulse to speak of it. The same compassionate impulse which guides the conversational plays of Anton Chekhov, the same impulse which now motivates my friend Quasimodo to give an opening statement. Quasimodo?
Thank you. In our effort to create Anton Chekhov's impossible, mysterious sound, I believe everything would have gone a lot better if we had not rehearsed at my house.
But it was the walk to your house which was for me essential. Always in twilight, always by way of the marshes, the stars being born once again above my head, the frogs, the crows. I found it was only this somewhat eerie, wild, and wondrous landscape which could prepare me for our project. Only this walk which would fill me with the enthusiasm necessary for the pursuit of an impossibility.
But your enthusiasm was no help at all. You sat in rehearsals and never had a single good idea.
Is that true?
I don't think you ever even finished reading the Chariot.
Yes, I've never read that. The cherry orchard. The cherry orchard. Would that have helped, you think? Should I have read The Cherry Orchard?
No. Our failure was certain.
Should I have read The Cherry Orchard?
The end has come.
welcome to this evening's panel discussion on, what is it? The sound of mud? Moss. No, it's it's the pale stars. Quasimodo has a statement.
Suddenly, a distant sound is heard, coming as if out of the sky, like the sound of a string snapping, slowly and sadly dying away.
Is that it? That's not it. At the bell table, the starry night gone black, the crow asleep, its dreamless brain dark as its wing. That's not it. That's not it. Good night.
A statement. I thought my life, as it will be described by Victor Hugo, was terrible. A wounded scream. Separated from my beloved cathedral. My Esmeralda's body tossed to a pit of skeletons. But to rehearse with you, Ludwig, that was true horror. To wait in my hut each twilight and hear you across the marshes. To have you come through my door stuffed with your enthusiastic genius, your shoes filled with minnows and mud, your brain spitting sparks, only to have you sit at my table each night and contribute nothing to an impossible task. Above all, I seek a total lack of faith, a pure disbelief, a state of knowing fully that there is nothing above or below the sky. But as it is, I still arrive, less than a ghost, to sit before the microphone again, to try again to find a thing less real than myself.
Good evening, every one of you, and welcome to tonight's panel discussion. Welcome. Make yourselves comfortable. Close your eyes. Relax. Now, imagine yourself to be not at this panel discussion regarding an impossible and mysterious sound, but in a glittering Viennese concert hall for the debut of my Mass in C, or my 5th piano concerto, or my 9th symphony. The conductor raises the baton. The ladies' gowns rustle in anticipation. I am Ludwig Van Beethoven. All this was created by me. You would think, if you were myself. All of it. The music, of course, but the baton and the conductor and gowns and ladies as well. It's all come into this place because of me. Because of my efforts in life. You would think, if you were myself. That which I have made will endure until the end. Throughout every second of recorded time, not for one moment will it be forgotten. Now, open your eyes. Welcome to this evening's panel discussion on what I have failed to make, which will endure as well, and in its terrifying absence, exist beyond the close of eternity. Quasimodo?
Oh, my darling, my precious, my beautiful orchard, my life, my youth, my happiness. Goodbye. Goodbye.
In Anton Chekhov's last play, a play which I have yet to read, a stage direction appears in 2 places. Once at the end of Act 2, and again at the close of the play. It reads, "A distant sound is heard, coming as if out of the sky, like the sound of a string snapping, slowly and sadly dying away." In all the world, both actual and theatrical, there is no such sound. At the bell table, the crow above, the frog below, the black night beyond the door, we know not, and no search can make us know. Only the event will teach us in its hour.
My darling, my precious, my beautiful orchard, my life, my youth, my happiness. Goodbye. Goodbye.